Hello friends, welcome to my channel Clinical Biochemistry by Dr. P.K. Prabhakar. Today we are going to talk about one of the interesting topic of gut microbiota, and similarly we will see can we change the physique of a person, like if a person is there who is lean and thin, if I want to make them obese, can we do it? Or if a person is obese, can we make them lean and thin? So that we'll see it. So first we should understand about the what is microbiota. From the moment of birth, at the time of birth, a baby is in intestine or body is completely um, don't have any kind of microbes, so it is completely sterilized. But as soon as after birth, they are getting microbes. So throughout their lifespan, they are going to be exposed to different kind of microbes. In a healthy human being, there are certain tissue which does not have any kind of microbes, like they are deficient, they are devoid of microbes, like brain that does not have any kind of microbes, blood does not have any kind of normal blood does not have any kind of microbes, CSF, cerebrospinal fluids, or muscular tissue, muscles does not have any kind of microbes. So these are free from microorganisms. The total sum of microbiota microbes which is present either on the body or inside the body of a person is called as normal microbiota of a person. So either it will be on the body, on the surface of body, or it will be inside the body like GIT tract or some other places, or on the skins like or our skins, nails, hairs. So those are called as normal microbiota. Higher animals, means if we'll see the classification, so higher organisms are associated with different type of microbial communities. Those microbial communities can be bacteria, virus, fungus, or protozoans. So microorganisms cross covers entirely, essentially all host mucosal surfaces. Wherever mucosa we are having, wherever mucous membrane we are having, so especially in those places we are having microorganisms. But most of them resides in gut, GIT tract. So if you see this entire places where microorganisms present in our body, like from it starts from the head, it ends with the anus. So every places we are having microbes, but most of the numbers, maximum number we are having in GIT tract, which you are going to see in this region. So this is the gut only. So we are talking about gut microbiota or intestinal microbiota. So at different places of intestine, we are having different number of and different classes of bacteria. Like if you'll see the stomach, where we are having lactobacillus, candida, streptococcus, helicobacter pylori, and streptococcus. uh, there are different conditions we are having, like at in the stomach we are having acidic regions, acidic concentration, acids will be there in the intestine, a small intestine and large intestine we are having alkaline nature. So different kind of bacteria, one kind of bacteria cannot survive everywhere, so at different levels, different places we are having different category of bacteria. Maximum bacteria we are going to see that will be in the colon region. So if you see the number, that is roughly 10 to the power 11. Then second places we are having ileum. So these are the two major places where we are having maximum number of bacteria, and these two bacteria normally decides our metabolic activity, our physics. So this is the different places we are having different classes of bacteria. I'm not going to read all those things. You can pause the video and you can read it if you want. Otherwise, no need to remember everything. But you should see it. You should read once. So you at the time of examination, at the time of whenever it will be asked, you can remember it. You can revise it properly. Mm, Now, these associations, so we are having different kind of bacteria, different at the different levels, different places. These microbes is having different kind of association. So these associations can be of symbiotic, which is defined as the life together, means both the organisms will live together in association with one another. This symbiosis, where both the organisms like human host and the other organisms counterpart is going to live together, can be of three types. It will be mutualism, it can be commensalism, it can be parasitism. In case of mutualism, if you see the place, it is both is going to be benefited, so both will be plus and plus. Example is lactic acid bacteria in the vaginal epithelium. Commensalism is where both lives together but does not affect each other. Neither they are going to give benefit, neither nor they are going to harm them, like S. epidermis. Parasitism is one will be benefited, other one will be harmed. So only one will be benefited, and all our microorganisms are having one of the three classes of associations. So now, why to study this microbiota and what is the need of analyze the requirement of this microbiota study? There are many reasons which we should understand, which we should get from this microbiota or microbes, like to understand the tissue tropism. Every bacteria cannot binds, cannot be going to live on every tissue. Like the organism which is present in our colon cannot be live on our skins. The bacteria which is present on our skins cannot be in the urinary tract. The bacteria which is in the urinary tract cannot live into our stomach. So that is called as tissue tropism or cell specificity. Means one kind of bacteria will be specific to a specific tissue depending on their physical or physiological properties. Then to better understand, better knowledge of normal microbiota in an infected parts of the body gives possible source of infection. So we should understand what is the region of infection, why the infections causes. Third is to understand the cause and consequences of colonization of bacteria other than the normal specific site. Like if we are having bacteria normal on our skin, we are having one kind of bacteria. If that bacteria will go to stomach, it will cause abnormality. The bacteria which is present in our GIT tract, if it will go to urinary tract, it will cause abnormality, it will cause a disease. So that we will understand, we should understand. And third, last is to increase the awareness of the role of these normal microbiota by in stimulating the host immune responses. Once we will see after some few slides, we will see how this microbiota is going to be benefit us. So there we will see it activates our immune system, it initiates number of immunological responses. Now how to study this microbiota is, so first got a microbiota sample from obese and lean thin person, wherever from wherever you want you can take it. Then it will go for 16s RNA sequencing and gene level profiling, that is through metagenic sequencing, and then it will be analyzed, it will be studied. There are a number of factors which affect this microbiota, like whatever we eat, calorie intake, nutritional composition means what content we eat, then antibiotics, our genetic history, genes, biological exposures, surgery. These are the things which is going to affect the microbiota compositions. And if we are having these microbiota is having different kind of activity, beneficial activity, so that we are going to see further also. Now there are a number of other factors which also affect this composition of this gut microbiota, means which type of microbiota we will have in our GIT tract, that will be decided by a number of factors. Those factors can be our antibiotics, whatever type of antibiotics we are going to take and how much we are going to take. Exercise means our physical activity, our physical activeness decides the bacterial gut microbiota composition in our body. Diet and food supplements, which type of food we are going to take. Lifestyle or hygiene natures, how we are going to maintain it. And then immune system. So these are the factors which decides which are composition of microbiota in our body, in our GIT tract. So the total microbiome is more than 100 times larger than the human genome. Means microbiome means all the genes of microbiota present in our body is called as microbiome. So the microbiome is more than 100 times higher than the human genome. So these microbes are treated as microbial organism or exteriorized organ, because it behaves and it gives us number of factors, number of properties, number of benefits, so that we are going to treat them as a special organ. There are 7 type of bacteria present in our GIT tracts. Those bacteria are firmicutes, bacteroids, proteobacteria, fusobacteria, verrucomicrobiota, cyanobacteria, and actinobacteria. These are the 7 class of bacteria present in our body, and most of these bacteria are anaerobic in nature, because in the GIT tract we don't have sufficient oxygen, so that's why they are anaerobic in nature. The two bacteria out of these 7 classes are mainly dominates in adult gut microbiota. Those are Firmicutes and Bacteroids. So Firmicutes is gram-positive bacteria. Such examples are Lactobacillus, Mycoplasma, Bacillus, and Clostridium. Bacteroids is gram-negative. Fetuses at the time of birth they are just sterile, and after their birth at the end of 4th year their gut microbiota is fully matured. Means whatever type of microbiota should present in their GI tract they attain by 4 years, and that will be remain constant till the 7th decade of their life. Means up to 70 year of age that bacterial compositions will be constant. So if you see the this phylogenetic tree, there are different type of bacteria. We are having different type of things. So this is on the basis of 60 days ribosomal RNA sequencing. So if you see this content of bacteroids and firmicutes normally supersedes other bacteria. So maximum content we are having either firmicutes or bacteroids. These firmicutes normally present in fat or obese person, and these bacteroids normally present in lean and thin person. These gut microbiota is having number of beneficial effects also, like they metabolize the non-digestive foods, it prevents the colonization of pathogens, it stimulates the development of some of the tissue like Peyer's patch, it antagonizes the non-indigenous bacterial growth, it synthesizes and excretes number of vitamins, almost all the vitamins what we require that we are getting from the bacteria only, and the production of natural antibiotics. So explanations are like it metabolizes some of the non-digested food ingredients. Means in our GI tract or intestine or stomach, whatever food we ingested, so it should be digested. So all the foods, 100% food is not going to be digested by our GI tract. So those undigested food is bacteria because of they are having some specific type of enzymes or some specific type of components. Second one is it prevents the colonization by pathogens by competing for attachment site, because in our GI tract the space is limited. So at one place only one kind of bacteria will sit. So this normal microbiota normally competes with other pathogenic bacteria for the same space, same site, or the same nutrients. It antagonizes other bacteria through the production of substances which inhibits or kill non-indigenous species. So if any kind of pathogens, any kind of bacteria comes to our body, so normally gut microbiota kill them by a specific process. Then it stimulates the production of some of the natural antibodies. It synthesizes and excretes vitamins in excess for their own needs, which we are going to use, which we are going to absorb into our body, and it stimulates the development of certain tissue like cecum and certain lymphatic tissue like Peyer's patch in the GI tract. Already I've told you. There's some kind of harmful effect also by these bacteria. The harmful effects are like cross-feeding to a potential pathogens. Means these bacteria can produce some of the metabolites which will be taken by some of the other bacteria. So that is called as cross-feeding. Means the metabolites produced by these bacteria will be used by other bacteria. It competes for the host for the nutrients. Means whatever we eat, that food will be used by our tissue also, it will be used by this gut microbiota also. So gut microbiota normally competes for the food with the host tissue. It displaced biota causes abnormal conditions, like the normal microbiota from the gut it will be transferred to other location, it can cause a disease. So change in the place, change in the natural location of a bacteria, natural location of a pathogens from one place to other place can cause abnormal situations, abnormal conditions. These bacteria normally going to metabolize some of the undigested food, and on the process on their way it can convert some of the carcinogenic compounds, it can produce some of the carcinogenic compounds, so that can lead to cancers. Opportunistic infections, because of this bacteria, some of the bacteria which resides normally in GI tract, if we will be immunocompromised, these bacteria can overcome all the components, all the things. These bacteria also induces hypersensitivity activity in our immune systems. So there are these are the different the explanation for the same thing. Now, this microbiota going to affect our physiology also. So, the gut microbiota has been shown to affect number of aspects of our physiology. These microbiota has been shown to influence intestinal function by in the host. It promotes the gall maturation. Gall maturation is that is a secondary lymphoid organ. So, if my gut gall will be matured because of this microbiota only. Tissue regeneration, especially in the microvilli and gut motility, is due to this microbiota only. Reduce the permeability of epithelial cells lining in the GI tract. So change in the microbiota composition or a lack of gut microbiota has been shown to affect metabolism, behavior, and tissue homeostasis. So either we don't have those microbiota, or the composition of normal microbiota will be modified, will be changed. So it affects our physiology, it affects our metabolic behavior, it affects our tissue homeostasis. These are the number of things, number of physiological responses which is going to be affected by normal microbiota. Like these microbiota normally affect the metabolic process, it affects the intestinal vessel formation, it affects the bone homeostasis, it affects the intestinal function, it affects the behavior by different components or different mediators. So this role of gut microbiota in the physic, this has been studied by Lay et al. He has analyzed roughly 5,100 bacterial samples and through the 16S ribosomal RNA gene sequencing from obese and lean and thin mice. What he found he found that obese animal had a 50% less bacteroids than firmicutes. Means firmicutes was mainly present in obese. Metagenomic analysis reveals that the gut microbiota of the obese mice producing more short chain fatty acid through the increased fermentation of dietary polysaccharides. So obese person produces more SCFA, short chain fatty acids. This increased excitations of energy from the dietary fiber may partly contribute to the excessive weight gain in obese mice. Bacteroids tends to decrease and formicutes tends to increase in the feces of obese compared to lean and thin person. Means in case of lean and thin person, more bacteroids will be there. In case of fat person, obese person, more formicutes will be there. So this is the cartoon which is going to show you. In case of lean and thin person, more bacteroids component will be there, more than 50%. If we'll see the obese person, roughly more than 50% they are having formicutes bacteria. So obese person have less bacteroids and more formicutes than lean and thin person. Now, if you see these are the this is lean and thin person which is having bacteroids. This is obese person which is having formicutes. Both bacteroids, formicutes and bacteroids is having different kind of metabolic activity, which affects normally different kind of gives us different kind of physiological responses. Like this formicutes decreases the concentration, decreases the formation of fasting induced adipose factor, which is AMPK fatty acid oxidation. It involves in fatty acid oxidation through AMPK. This fasting induced adipose factor is a LPL inhibitor. So this formicutes normally decreases it, whereas bacteroids, if you say, they increases this fasting induced adipose factor. In case of bacteroids, we are having less amount of LPS, so no less inflammation will be there. Whereas in case of obese person, formicutes increases the LPS concentration, so inflammation chances going to be increased. Then formicutes produces more short chain fatty acid by lipogenesis. If bacteroids normally decreases short chain fatty acids, um, formicutes decreases incretin secretion. Incretin secretion is called as some of the hormone produced by GI tract like GLP-1, GIP, those incretin hormones. So formicutes normally decreases it, and this incretin hormones is having number of other good beneficial effect in case of diabetes mellitus. This bacteroids normally increases the incretin secretions. So and this bacteroids normally increases butyrate productions. Here obese person decreases butyrate production. So if you see overall effect of this decrease in FAIF, sorry, increase in LPS lipopolysaccharides, increase in inflammation, increase in short chain fatty acid, in decrease in incretin hormones. Overall effect of this is going to decrease insulin sensitivity, means going to increase insulin resistance. Similarly, this lean and thin person is having bacteroids, which is having these effects. An ultimate effect or means result of these effects is it increases insulin sensitivity, means insulin resistance is going to decrease it. So this is the explanation of those microbial colonization formicutes. Formicutes F, you can remember it in the fat person of the gut, suppress the expression of fasting induced adipose factor, which is LPL inhibitors. Increased LPL activity promotes increased uptake of fatty acids and triglyceride accumulation in adipocytes. Bacterial fermentation of complex dietary carbohydrates leads to SCFA. This short chain fatty acids bind to GPCR, G protein coupled receptor, and production of peptide PYY is going to be increased. This PYY normally decreases gut motility, increase intestinal transit rate, and reduces the extraction of energy from the diet. So this, because of LPS also, inflammation is going to be increased, and inflammation will be there, that will increase the insulin resistance. This gut microbiota normally communicate with the hypothalamus by neural or endocrine pathway. Gut hormones, gut means GI tract normally produces some of the hormones also. Those are called as gut hormones, are produced by specialized enteroendocrine cells. That is roughly 1% of the gut microbiota. These gut hormones, that is also called as incretins, potentiate glucose-induced insulin secretion. So if we are having more incretin, more insulin secretion will be there. It may be responsible for up to 70% of postprandial insulin release. There are two important incretin hormones is GIP, gastric inhibitory peptides, and glucagon-like peptide 1. This GIP-1 is going to be produced by K cells of upper small intestine in response to oral ingestion of carbohydrates. GLP-1, which is mainly produced by number of tissues. Some of the tissue are like mucosal L cell, pancreatic alpha cells, and in the neurons. The secretion of GIP, gastric inhibitory peptide, in case of type 2 diabetes is normal, whereas that of GLP-1 is reduced. If GLP-1 will be reduced, number of factors is going to be affected. This different intestinal microbiota composition in obese human may possibly contribute this to reduction in the GLP-1. So conclusion is intestinal microbiota may play a very convincing role converting nutrients into energy and very convincing role in their physiological functions. Variation in the composition of gut microbiota are found in obese human and the mice. Increased energy yield from the diet in obese mice and human could be contributing factor to obesity and leads to diabetes. So is it possible to modify the gut microbiota? If I will modify the gut microbiota, so I will change the high fat feeding behavior of a person. By changing high fat feeding behavior, we can modify the metabolic defects, diseases in the human. Or can we change the physique of a person by just modifying the gut microbiota? So if I have a obese person, so obese person will have firmicutes. If I want to make them lean and thin, so what I should do it, I will remove firmicutes and give them some kind of bacteroids. So because of firmicutes, he was obese. Now because he is having bacteroids, so he will be lean and thin. Similarly, vice versa, it can be possible. So this is just a hypothesis. So hope we will get some kind of very good information, very good result in the coming days. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. And this is Be Smart at Your Heart. Control ABC of diabetes. A means H1ABC, blood pressure and the cholesterol. So thank you very much. Have a nice day.